folks, welcome to another edition of Fitness Friday Positive Tips with Rachelle. Folks, we're on Fitness Friday. It is always great to be here with you on the best day of the week. Gotta love it. And folks, kicking off this three-part series here, wrapping up the year, confidence and leadership. Going to talk specifically today about the power of perspective. The power of perspective. But I want to kick this episode off here by highlighting, yes, yet another Dollar Tree purchase. Yes, of course, could it have been from anywhere else? And so, folks, as you see this notepad, this time, I've highlighted different ones here over the years. Your potential is endless. So when I passed by this one, I had a unique response because Rachelle is Miss Positivity. Yes, the sky is the limit. You can do anything you put your mind to. But this one, I had a dual reaction. So yes, I'm going to embrace just unlimited potential. Live your best life. Live your best life now. Maximize your potential. Unleash your potential. But on the other side, something that came to mind when I saw this was, and I kind of just said to myself, kind of shook my head and thought, if you hear a term like this, specifically, you have unlimited potential, unlimited earning potential, yada, 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 yada. It could also be someone is telling you that, a red flag, that they're trying to recruit you into a multi-level marketing or a pyramid scheme. And so, Rachelle, on Fitness Friday Positives, Rachelle, folks, you get you get to experience and witness the creative zeal of Rachelle. Because I had to create this flag here, this red flag on the spot, on the fly. And so I have here this kebab, this little wooden, not sure exactly what this is called, kebab stick. I had this kebab stick in my kitchen drawer. And also, as you see the little flag here that I created are my placeholders for when I read. I have them in different colors. And so it could also be a red flag, yes, that you are being recruited, and the first step of being recruited into one of these schemes, legal and illegal pyramid schemes. And so I'd like to caution you, there's no such thing as unlimited income potential. There's no such thing. This is real world here. There's resources, time, money, all of they're finite. Okay, unlimited earning potential, unlimited market potential. Okay, in many cases when you're talking about these multi-level marketing schemes and other pyramid schemes, no such thing as unlimited marketing potential. You are eventually going to run out of people. You're going to run out of people. And so just had to highlight that. So just, words of caution. Rachelle, I take a holistic approach here on Fitness Friday Positives with Rachelle. Just holistic approach. Want to just, make you aware of different things. Listen out for different things. Don't want you to get roped into certainly any schemes that are not going to benefit you professionally, personally, and just be on the lookout for that. Be on the lookout for that. And something just kind of popped into my mind now that I just highlighted that. Is I need to drop in at 4 or 5 minutes, just particularly because you talk about from the SWOT analysis perspective, the health, fitness, and wellness oriented, these multi-level marketing products and these multi-level marketing company, these schemes, as I call them, as many people call them, just the impact on the fitness industry overall. And I may drop 4 or 5 minutes before the end of the year in one of these 2 next episodes, and just highlighting that and just certainly bringing that to your attention, because what's going on over there certainly has ramifications and consequences over here. So I always like for you to be mindful of that. And there's a part of me that just doesn't even want to dignify that with any airtime. but I really need to. I really need to, just in the spirit of just helping you, certainly, which is always one of my top goals here on Fitness Friday Positives. And so, kicking off here, the power of perspective. My confidence episodes tend to be heavily focused, just story times, just right off the bat, just story times. And so I have a couple examples here from my personal life that highlight the power of perspective, and just some of the early lessons that I learned in life about the power of perspectives. And certainly one of the fundamental principles of Fitness Friday Positives. When I started Fitness Friday Positives a few years ago, it was to open your eyes, to give you perspective. Provide perspective, certainly, that perhaps you certainly may receive or may not receive. And I wanted to come, of course, with the perspective of someone, again, from a consulting standpoint. If you just kind of picture me off to the sidelines, just observing what's going on, making commentary of what's going on, and sharing my thoughts regarding things that are going on in the fitness industry, trends, happenings, threats. And so want to point those out. But see, the power of perspective, because as human beings, it's very easy for us to kind of get tunnel vision, focus on our business, on our company, on our facility, on our chain of facilities, whatever the case may be. And so the perspective, getting outside perspective, recognizing that, our way is not the only way, that we can learn from others, we can learn, we can grow, we can develop, and certainly outside perspective and being challenged from an outside perspective and allowing that perspective to just really kind of, challenge our thinking in many cases. So you don't settle into the status quo and just get too comfortable with the same old, for the lack of a better term. And so perspective helps us to just kind of open our eyes and to realize what's going on. Even last week, the filler episode that I dropped in last week about how the coronavirus pandemic has impacted Canada. Okay, they mentioned their gym closures and the impact that it's had on that, and some of the resilient facilities that have been able to hang in there, as challenging as the situation has been over these last many months. But that provided perspective, an international perspective on how another country, what they're dealing with. Many challenges here in this country, certainly experienced by the fitness industry since the pandemic began. But yes, other countries are also facing the same thing. So I wanted to provide that international perspective so you can say, okay, so we're not alone. Because one thing adversity will make you feel like is that it's just you. You're all alone. Other people can't relate. And so that is absolutely not the case. So drop that episode in. So a couple of lessons on perspective from my life. Lesson number 1. Family move to the ROK, Republic of Korea, Seoul, Korea. And so, and I've highlighted this, 2 or 3 times over the years, Fitness Friday and I think a non-Fitness Friday Positives, but just, and I look back to that experience and think about, so we were at the time in Biloxi, Mississippi. And so my dad, he was civil service at Keystone Air Force Base. It's a long story, but my dad went to college, Mississippi State University undergrad, and so got his undergraduate degree there, and then ultimately ended up going into the Navy. And so he graduated from Officer Candidate Schools, OCS, and so spent some time in the Navy, and then got out of the Navy, and then so ultimately went on to have different jobs within the federal service as a civil servant on military installations. And so at that time we were at Keystone Air Force Base in Biloxi. So, and I so remember when my dad came home and told my brother and I that, oh, guess what? We're moving to Korea in 3 months. Oh my gosh, I will never forget that. Just like, what do you mean? We're up and moving to Asia in 3 months, And so because there was no like, let's sit down and discuss it and let's take a poll and see what everyone thinks. They were like, yeah, no, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. So he and my mom had made the decision. It's going to happen. And so my brother and I were like, you have got to be kidding me. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we have our cliques in school and we don't want to, deal with, any major life changes. We're set here right where we are. Life is good. But one thing my dad said, of course, we didn't know it at the time, and I don't think we would have had the maturity then to understand. But he made that, when he and my mom talked about it, and his impetus for making that family move was, I want you all to experience something different, a different way of life. I want to expose you to something big, being this, this major move and living in a foreign country. And so that was the impetus for the move. And we didn't understand it then. Now, my sister's much older, certainly than myself, almost 10 years, almost a 10-year age difference. So she was old enough where she made the decision, I'm not going. I'm staying here. Everything's going to be cool. And she actually still resides in Biloxi. And so my brother and I, and just to fast forward to not make this story too long, because I have another story to cover. And so I remember, like, we flew over to Korea. We had to go from Biloxi to New Orleans to San Francisco, San Francisco to Tokyo, Tokyo to Seoul. And so I just, oh my gosh. And there's a picture, my dad was taking pictures of us at the San Francisco, SFO, San Francisco, International Airport, where we were just kind of sitting there like, what in the world? We don't know what's going on. We don't agree with this decision. And so we look back now, and it's just, that was the best thing that ever happened to us. That was the best thing. My brother and I wholeheartedly agree. That was the best experience ever. We didn't certainly, when you're in the midst of it and you kind of feel like your life is uprooted, and how transition and big changes, major life changes are. We're like, oh, this is just crazy. And I remember the very first night, since we had jet lag, my brother and I were plotting on like what we were gonna do to be able to get deported and get sent home back to Biloxi. And I'm happy to report like that never happened. Never got deported. Everything was fine. We eventually just kind of got with the program and made things happen. But just the power of perspective. And interestingly enough, quick story time regarding my brother is as resistant as we were to that big family move. So my brother ultimately, he's an Army. He went green to gold. So that's a special program where you start out enlisted and then you transition over into gold. So got his degree from the University of South Carolina and then commissioned. He had been in for 13 years when that happened. And so my brother enlisted in the Army, actually from Korea, after he graduated from high school, and ultimately served 3 additional 1-year tours of duty in Seoul, in Korea. And so it is so important. Again, think about that. The person, my brother, who was so resistant, like, I don't want this, I'm going to get deported, went on to serve, apart from our family living there, 3 additional tours of duty in the Republic of Korea. And so 2 of those tours of duties were enlisted, and the last, he was a commissioned officer. And so just a challenging experience, certainly times of adversity, but just the growth and how it challenged us, and just a unique way of life. And just, again, we were Seoul American High School, so we're with other students and other fellow friends who were going through the same thing, just this major life change, and those are certainly friends for life. Some of just a couple of my best friends from then remain friends to this day, and I mean, they could call me up anytime with anything, and they will always have my ear, because it's just that type of experience just bonds you in such a unique way. But what was the fundamental lesson that we learned from that? The power of perspective, living abroad, traveling abroad, whatever the case may be, folks. And it's easier than ever these days with streaming devices, where you can fire up YouTube and look at videos. And I do this all the time. Of course, Rachelle is a scholar. I just love these types of things. But just documentaries and these content creators, where you're just kind of walking down the streets of Nigeria. And the other day I was watching one on Siberia, just some of the coldest places on Earth, and how they live. Just fascinating perspectives, provided free of charge, quite frankly. And so just whatever we can do to open our minds, to enlarge our vision, to enhance our perspective is so important. Now, no, do you have to up and move to a foreign country? No, that's not feasible for everyone. But you can certainly frequent ethnic restaurants, and like I said, just read different books, and just there's just so much perspective, external perspective available to us that is just, it's just mind-blowing, There's something so humbling about hearing and researching and studying and being exposed to different perspectives. So powerful, so powerful. So that was a big experience for me. Again, the big family move, and how positively that has impacted my life. And profoundly, I didn't experience, didn't appreciate it at the time, but it's just so mind-blowing to me now. Like, I can imagine my life, I can't imagine it without having had that family move to Seoul. And so, enlarge your vision, open your mind, the power of perspective. And I remember, again, when I go back to Louisiana, when I go back to visit, it's just, I always have these times of deep reflection on just how my vision was enlarged. And just the Louisiana, how important that leaving, of course, leaving Korea and then moving to Louisiana, and just how powerful those experiences were. just very, very powerful. And I remember as an undergraduate, so Louisiana State University in Shreveport, and just how, when I look back on my life, just the ability to just ask for what you want and just to not be afraid of rejection. That is something, last time I was there visiting in October, I mean, that was something that really just stuck out to me. Like, you know what, Rachelle, like, you have really asked for some things in your life. And I was reflecting at that particular point on how, as an undergraduate, so I was a senior in college, and we had a faculty member on staff who was from Venezuela, Sandy Watkins. She was actually a math teacher at Caddo Magnet High School, still a math teacher at Caddo Magnet, but was an adjunct Spanish professor. And so if you recall from past Posi-TIPS, I told you when I entered college, I was actually a Spanish major. I wanted to be a corporate interpreter. That was my first original kind of entering college. But then kind of realized, once I was doing some translations and things like that, it just, there's a certain personality that's required for that. And so it just was not a good fit for me. It was just not very interesting personally. Not interests a lot of people, and there's wonderful translators and interpreters who do wonderful things around the world. But you just have to have a certain personality to be able to kind of sit there and just kind of back and forth and it just was not a good fit for me. So I ended up being a double major, public relations and Spanish in college as an undergraduate. And so, but Sandy Watkins, so because I'd had, extensive Spanish classes and things like that at the high school level, so I was able to test out of the first two, essentially the first 2 years or 2 levels of Spanish when I came in. But there was an adjunct instructor, Sandy Watkins. She taught a Spanish class, and so I got wind of that. I was never a student of hers, but I certainly heard, they have an adjunct who is from Venezuela, and her family still lives in Venezuela. And I think her husband's from Louisiana, but her birth family and everyone is still there in Venezuela, brothers, sisters, parents. And she, is very, very nice, whatever this and that. So long story short. And I said, when I'm looking back on my life, I said, yeah, this is so Rachelle. So long story short, I did some networking. I had never met the lady before, never taken a class with her. But anyway, got in touch with her, got her phone number and said, you know what, Sandy? Or I think I said something like, Mrs. Sandy, I would really like an opportunity to practice my Spanish. I want to be immersed in a Spanish-speaking culture. Would it be possible for me to go and visit your family in Venezuela? And do you know, she said yes. And so that was actually my first international trip solo abroad. Of course, taken several others after that, different parts of the world. And so she said yes, but I thought to myself, that opportunity would have never happened if I wouldn't have had the courage and the confidence to just ask and not be afraid to hear no. But so I went to Caracas, Venezuela, and I spent time with her family, her parents, in Guiria, Venezuela, and it was wonderful. It was absolutely wonderful, but the power of perspective, that gave me the confidence, like, Rachelle, you can get on this American Airlines flight and fly to Venezuela solo. And so it just kind of the power of perspective, but it was that important to me. And so just whatever you have to do, just take advantage of opportunities to expand your vision, to enlarge your vision. In the fitness industry, that's why week after week, when you see me here and on my filler episodes, I try to enlarge your vision, to expose you to what other entities are doing. But also, certainly, from a confidence standpoint, I want you to stand in your truth. Stand in your truth. Because if you don't have a multi-million-dollar marketing budget, just don't go out of business and bankrupt yourself and in your studio or facility trying to imitate what others are doing. Stand in your truth. I want to challenge your thinking while standing in your own truth to perhaps try a different way, to pivot, to realize and recognize the importance of certain things. So you can integrate those learnings and insights in terms of what you are doing from an operational standpoint on a day-to-day basis. That is why I do what I do, the power of perspective. The next story, the next example, graduate school in Northwestern University, the power of perspective. And so, folks, you got to be able to laugh at yourself, because this is so funny to me now, because here I was in Florida. And so for those who don't know, just undergraduate in Louisiana, as I alluded to earlier here minutes ago, but then got my first graduate degree in Florida. and then my second graduate degree from Northwestern in Chicago. So I told myself at the time, you know, I'm getting ready to move to this Evanston, Illinois, and show these people how it's done. It's just, it is so funny to me now, folks. You gotta just be able to throw yourself under the bus for the sake of transparency. Because looking back now in hindsight, what I recognize is, again, the power of perspective. At that point, I had been to some good schools. I had been to some, actually, again, just kind of taking a step back here, you know, going from, public school, Biloxi, Mississippi, good school system, to a DODS or Department of Defense school in Seoul, Korea, Seoul American High School. That was a very big adjustment. So that was kind of like good to great, very big transition in terms of expectations and standards and all of that. And so I utilized the same example. Two very good public universities, wonderful experiences. I would recommend both of them. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. But when I stepped foot in Evanston, the first day of class, and my perspective changed. Why? Because I'm looking around me, and it has become very, very quickly apparent the caliber of competition, the standards and all of that have been drastically elevated. And I mean that humbly and with all due respect, but I'm to my previous universities. But I'm just looking around, and I'm sure my classmates are just looking around, and actually created a term several years ago, and I've mentored incoming Northwestern students over the years, and students that have been further along in their college studies, and I call it EDP, ego deflation period. And that's why you kind of walk into a situation, whereas I'm sure is the truth, for when you start first watching Fitness Friday Posi-TIPS, you kind of come into this thinking like, yeah, my way is the only way, and we're the best, and yada, 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 and just we're the best things since sliced bread, whatever the case may be. But then the perspective of hearing what others are doing and what others are going on, it kind of opens your eyes, and come on, be honest with yourself. There's that moment where you're thinking like, wow, we thought our sales promotion was top notch. And then, man, I heard Rachelle reading about Crunch Fitness, how they had a supercharger summer sales promotion this summer where they gave away a Tesla Model 3, and so again, just that's why the power of perspective is so important. So I got there, and I'm looking around, and I caution students that are coming in, just recognize this is going to happen to you, because you're going to, your first week or so, you're going to kind of look around, and then you're going to get deflated. But it's important during that deflation that you not just get disheartened and lose hope and give up. You just don't want to do that. And that is certainly true here on Fitness Friday to Posi-TIPS. When you hear about some of the great things and some best practices, don't lose hope. Don't give up. Don't feel worse about yourself or your facility. Just do not do that. Keep on keeping on, keep on hanging in there. But recognize perspective. When these experiences happen to us, there's a confidence issue there. There's a confidence issue, because if you're extremely insecure and you lack confidence, you're just going to say, well, you know what, it's over. It's over. There's just no hope. And that's not the perspective that we want to have. We want to have the confidence to hear about others succeeding, other entities in the fitness industry doing well, thriving, best practices. Those experiences make us better. Because needless to say, after that first week in Northwestern, where I got some humility and just recognizing one of the most powerful lessons that I learned as a student in Northwestern, certainly that I carry forward with me to this day, but that I carry forward with me on Posi-TIPS, these Posi-TIPS, and specifically Fitness Friday Posi-TIPS episodes, is just recognizing the power of perspective. The power of perspective. We all have strengths. We all have weaknesses. We all do things well. We all have areas of improvement. And so that's why I like to share these best practices with us, because truly, the insights and the learnings help us all to become better professionals, better leaders, more confident leaders, if we're able to hang in there and not give up when we see a person or an entity thriving, where we may not be at any point in life doing well ourselves. We gotta be happy and secure enough who we are to be happy for others' success, to be able to look at best practices and our top fitness entities and say, wow, good for them. That is awesome. We're making things happen wherever we are, but good for them. What can I learn from them? Because those were the key lessons. And we used to have these group projects at Northwestern. And let me tell you, some cases and very rare cases were we able to choose our groups, but many cases groups were chosen for us, pardon me. Our professors would, okay, whatever this, in the interest of time, but that's real life. In many cases we can't choose, the entirety of who we work with or whatever the case may be. And so there was initially it's kind of like, oh my goodness, work with these people, I wish I could work with be in groups with my friends, but why? Because it's easier, that's comfortable. But it is in those experiences when we're in these groups with different people, why? And what was the lesson our professors were teaching us? Looking back in hindsight, I didn't understand and didn't appreciate it then, but humility, the value of humility, and recognizing, we're in this group with other people. We all have strengths. We all have weaknesses. Let's balance each other out. If so-and-so does this well, data analysis well, loves to crunch numbers, let's let that person shine. Let's let that person handle that particular part of the assignment. All right, there are certain different things that we each individually do well. Let's learn from one another. If I'm not the best data number cruncher, but let me still, while X person is handling that, let me learn from that person. Let me pay attention to what they're doing. Let me allow their strengths to again, enlarge my own vision, I was often a presenter in group projects there. And so, but we all had different roles, strategists, tacticians. It was just a wonderful experience, while not at the time. Looking back, I realized the power of that lesson of group projects and putting us all together and helping us all to learn and to grow and develop together. Because, working solo and all of this and that, there were certain strengths to that, but you also lose the perspective of group dynamics, of other insights, of other people with different backgrounds, what they bring to the table to help the strategy, program, campaign better. So it's just the power of differences, and then how much we learn from that. Yes, from that graduate school experience, you all have heard over and over and over how I learned about the power of the SWOT analysis, situational analysis, competitive analysis, but a far greater lesson, in my opinion, just the value of humility, teamwork, working together for a common goal, making things happen together, but also, again, not losing hope, having the confidence enough to just hang on in there and just learn from one another, very tough, very challenging experiences. And there was certainly another story time within the story time that I want to share. It was October 21st. And it all came back to me once again. And so Professor Nashir Contractor, he's a professor there at Northwestern, does a lot of work around teams, specifically teams. And Professor Contractor, put out, they're doing this major product testing software product for team building. So team-based software research. And so they were looking for participants of all types, all backgrounds. And so I saw an ad in the Daily Northwestern, the student newspaper. And so I responded, and long story short, I participated in that particular product test. It was via Zoom on October 21st of this year. Team-based. And so essentially, you had to do this lengthy questionnaire, and it assigned us, the software assigned us right then on the spot into teams. And so here we are, and the assignment that we were given as teams, after we were formed, okay, here's the assignment, here's the task. And so it was to design a recruiting campaign for the American ACS, American Cancer Society, in terms of helping them to get more volunteers to drive cancer patients, to assist with transportation for cancer patients receiving chemo and radiation treatments in Chicago. And so they assigned us, and so again, looking back in hindsight, and remembering the questions that were on the questionnaire and the survey, there were questions that, inquiring about your creative abilities and and things like that. And so, of course, I'm thinking like, yes, I have some very, very creative idea generation, and no problem, whatever. And it was leadership questions, all of that. So all of those questions were certainly, the results were tabulated quickly by the software. We were assigned into teams. And so here we were, our team, and I remember thinking, and we all have various, very different backgrounds, very different backgrounds. I was the only kind of creative type, marketing-ish type person for that particular project, but we all came together, we made things happen, we made things work, but it brought back that whole concept of just group dynamics at Northwestern, and I know many other schools across the country and across the world have that same philosophy, but I'm just sharing my own personal experience. And so it came back to me, and I just kind of recognize now, particularly, at the graduate level, Northwestern in particular is very big on differences, very big on pairing people of different backgrounds and things like that together, because again, you're generating differences, you're looking from different backgrounds, and just you're having a unique, more cohesive perspective on problem solving, idea generation, campaign development, strategy development. And so that brought it all back to me. So I have from a few weeks ago, there I was again on this Zoom with this group that I didn't choose, that was actually chosen this time by software. And we came together and we made it happen. We made it happen, just very different backgrounds, but we came together and we made it happen. So the power of perspectives. And again, just having a life experience post-graduation, be able to look at that experience as it was happening, as the teams were formed, and here we are, here are your teammates, here's the project, make it happen. Bam, you got, I don't know, was it 15 or 20 minutes to come together? And so just the uniqueness of that experience, but also the reinforcement of getting group projects, collaboration. Northwestern was huge on collaboration. And so we came together, we made it happen that night pretty quickly. So the power of perspective, folks, the power of perspectives. What can you do? What can you do to enhance and enlarge your vision, certainly more so than you are currently, and that's why I'm a big proponent. Going to different clubs, visit different facilities. And if you don't feel comfortable doing that, and not everyone does, go to look at their websites, look at what they're doing. I mean, go to YouTube, look at it to see what training is going on, certainly within that particular space. Just recognize, there's the beauty and the differentiation that exists, the different product offerings, service offerings, entities within the fitness industry, differences in fitness bricks and mortar facilities versus virtual, online. Just evaluate and study the differences and just be appreciative of those differences. Yes, from a business strategy standpoint, yes. Are there threats? Yes. But certainly, just do your best to understand, to open your eyes, to enlarge your vision, to recognize, hey, there's something to be learned here. There's always something to be learned here. Don't lose hope. Don't let that, again, just kind of dampen your spirit, dampen and curb your enthusiasm. But just utilize that as a tool to learn, to grow, to be better. Because again, I'm pro-fitness, so I'm all about different fitness facilities, I want everyone to succeed. Every entity, every fitness, everything, and everyone operating in the fitness space, I want to succeed. That is something that is very important to me. And that is something certainly that I share on these episodes, the power of perspective. In this season of my life, when I think about, I always have to guard against favoritism and speaking about promoting my own facility too much. And I think about this particular season of my fitness journey, 27 and a half years here, and how I have locally Edge Fitness Farmington Hills, Fit Nation in Bossier City, Rachelle's Home Fitness Center, and as always, and then again, post-COVID now, facilities are fully open back up to visitors. So at least 2 times a month, I'm visiting other facilities, and more so than that, I do research and things on my own. Why? To keep my vision, to have a broad vision of what is going on in the fitness industry, so that I'm not so laser focused on what's going on where I am in my own space. That is very, very important to me. Very, very important to me. I just feel it on Fitness Friday Positive. So if I'm just sitting here talking about my own facility, wherever. Again, this has been going on for years, whatever facility that may be. I mean, that's promotion. I mean, that's a spokesperson. And that is not my role, and that is not here that's not what I'm here to do. Okay, I'm here to make every entity, every person in the fitness industry, to challenge your thinking, to enlarge your vision, to give you the power of perspective so that you can be better, Just want to challenge your thinking a little bit. I know sometimes I can be rough, but folks, and really tough when I'm challenging you, but that's because, again, a coach is not sitting here saying, yeah, you're awesome. Yeah, they do some of that. But there's also the balance there to challenge you, to kind of give you sometimes the hard truth of what's going on, particularly in the fitness industry in this challenging time. I'm going to be a source, Fitness Friday Posi-TIPS. Goal number 1, to tell the truth. Number 2, to help people. Those are my 2 goals. Those are my driving forces here for what I do. It's not all about commercialization and promoting products and promoting services. No, folks. Do what you can do within your strengths and your abilities and certainly your budgets. Want to be real here with that. Folks. So that is all I have for you today. This has been so much fun. Next time, in Confidence and Leadership, I'm going to talk specifically about decision making and accountability. It's going to be probably more of a challenging episode because, you know me, I'm just going to challenge you a little bit when it comes to accountability from a leadership perspective. And so, folks, that is all I have for you today. This has been so much fun, but just enlarge your vision. It is so powerful. Your life will change. Your leadership will change. Your confidence will change once you embrace the power of perspective. And so we'll continue this conversation next week. But until then, remember, I am positively passionate about your leadership, success, and yes, fitness, of course. Make it a